Hello, welcome to Kim and Friends, where we laugh through the chaos, cry whenever the hell we feel like it, and always keep it real. Because as women, the conversations we have and the stories we share behind closed doors need to be heard out in the wild. I'm Kim, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen today. I really hope something resonates with you. My guest today is Claire. Claire is a cat mom to two beautiful black kitties, Faye and Diggs, who, if you listen closely, do make an appearance in this episode. She also has a bachelor's degree in English and master's in education, and she taught for 10 years. She's a yoga teacher, breathwork practitioner, and creative coach who helps women activate their creativity through a variety of mediums. And she's also a writing coach. But for today's purposes, her most important credential is that Claire is someone I have the fortunate privilege to call my friend. Hi, welcome to the inaugural episode of Kim and Friends. I am Kim, and I am a woman in the world. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a close friend to many wonderful women, one of whom you will be talking to today. And I'm happy you're here. And I hope you take something away from today's episode. So, as we are laughing through the chaos, crying when we feel like it, and always keeping it real, I want us to hold closely the conversations we have and the stories we share behind closed doors, because we, as women, need them to be heard in the wild. And today, I would like to introduce to you my very best friend and one of my soulmates, because we all have more than one, Claire. She's been on me to do this for a long time. Claire and I's friendship goes back to, 20 years? 15 years? 18 years. And she's always been wildly and unapologetically and unconditionally supportive of me. And I hope that she feels the same way about me. And today we are going to kind of center our conversation around the question, when did you first feel like a woman? We're certain to get off topic. We do not have to stay tied to that question, but that's going to be our jumping off point. So, hi, Claire. Do you want to tell us a little bit about you?
Hi, Kimmy. Thank you for having me on your first episode. It means a lot. And you have always been this shining example of a strong-ass woman in my life. And I know we've had so many conversations about this, the way we make each other better. And you absolutely make me better. So I love you so much and can't wait to dive in.
So I guess let's just start. First of all, thank you. And let's start with you telling me what that question means to you. It doesn't necessarily have to be when you first felt like a woman, but what first comes to mind when you hear the question, when did you feel like a woman?
Yeah, I think you had brought this up a while ago because I think you heard it somewhere else and it really inspired a lot in you. And so you posed the question to me and I immediately, my mind goes to like, when did I feel powerful in my female power? When did I kind of transition out of that like childhood, girlhood place into a more autonomous, like sovereign place? And then you specifically asking like, when did I feel like a woman versus just like an adult? I mean, that brings up 100 different directions we can go. And, you know, sometimes I think we have to start with what we were told about what a woman is and what we're like currently deconstructing around that too. So I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question directly, but I will say my 30s. I'm coming to the end of my 30s here, and it's been a time of deep growth in so many ways. But in terms of like when have I felt like a woman, for me, I most feel like a woman when I am in my deep creative process, when I am, a lot of the work I do with women is about being in our bodies, which same as you, Kimmy. That's why, that's where we initially connected at the gym, right? So when did I feel most like a woman is really through a long drawn out process of when I finally came to start loving the body that I'm in. That's been really tied to my understanding of being a woman. So
I love that.
yeah, I know you have a whole process with the body as well. So I don't know. How would you answer that question? And is it linked to the body for you, I guess?
Well, we probably could go back a little bit and explain a little bit about how our friendship came about. You mentioned that we met at a gym. I was I think, assistant manager at the time, and I interviewed Claire.
My ass, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Eventually, I was the manager and you were the assistant manager. But I think at first, I just hired you to work the front desk when I was the assistant manager, possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could have
Yeah.
that timeline all messed up. But a funny story around that is that I hired you. You've been working there for like a week. And it was like this big open space behind the front desk. And I came behind the desk to like walk around to my office door and I smacked you on the ass. And then I went into my office and I stopped and I was like, oh shit. And I turned around and I came back out and I was like, Claire, can you come in the office? I just wanted to say something to you real quick. And you came back in and I was like, so that was inappropriate. As your superior in the workplace, I should definitely not be smacking you on the ass. So I just want to let you know, like, I understand no means no. And like, we just got this like huge smile and just started cracking up. And I was like, oh man, we are in this. I'm going to be friends with this woman for the rest of my life. Like, I just knew it. I was like, okay, we get each other.
I love it.
There's been many ass smacks in both directions since.
That's right. Yes. It's always a yes for you, Kim.
Always a yes. So that's probably some interesting information for everyone to know about how our friendship kind of gelled in the beginning. But we were working in a place that was very tied to the body and looking at bodies. And at that time, I think in both of our lives, looking at fitness and movement from an aesthetic place and what that could get us, not what we could get from it. And gosh, that really comes back to like when we had that initial conversation about when did I feel like a woman, because mine came in the transition into my 40s when I really settled into a place of being unapologetic. And I think that can sound selfish or harsh or cruel when really I think it made me more capable of showing up for people in my life when I was unapologetic. Like the apology as a selfish act, the apology as asking for permission. And I just really sunk deeply into this place of not wanting to hide my virtues or my shortcomings, not wanting to make what's great about me smaller, but also not feeling like I have to apologize for my humanity and the ways that I will inevitably fail as well. So yeah, I think I didn't really hear that question or think that through until I heard it on a podcast episode a few months ago. And then that's when we initially discussed it. But it definitely gave me some great hindsight into how just that shift into my 40s just catapulted me into a place of like wild forgiveness to myself.
Yeah, so that's interesting I guess since we just kind of started the conversation with the body, it's like when we were younger, we used the body as a tool. And I love this book. I want to bring this book in. I'm currently working through this book with a group of women, but it's called Women Who Run with Wolves. And it's by Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes. And she talks a lot about the body and how we are conditioned to treat the body like a slave, right? We're like constantly trying to shift it and change its form and make it fit into someone else's program and someone else's definition of what it means to be a quote unquote appropriate size or shape or look, right? And you and I really, you especially doing all of your bodybuilding competitions. I mean, that's literally the whole point of that entire industry. And I'm not shitting on that industry. It was a really incredible accomplishment that you did those shows. But now as we are moving into, I guess what I would want to call our wise woman era a little bit more, we're more connected to our instincts, we're more connected to our wisdom. And now the body feels more like a teammate. I'm working with my body and I'm listening to my body. That makes me feel so much like a woman. And I know men have their own connections to their bodies, but it's different. It's totally different. Like my body is, as we age, my body is reminding me to slow down and to be softer. And I love what you said about like showing all your parts, because in the gym industry, a lot of times the fitness industry, it's not about it. I mean, think about even like no pain, no gain. It's literally about like removing our vulnerabilities, removing the parts of us we don't, shrinking the parts that we think are too big, tightening here. And it's like, I have seen you and I've witnessed you really come into that beautiful acceptance of all that you are, not to get rid of any parts, but to use that wisdom to determine like, okay, what parts of me are being asked for in this situation? What parts of me are being asked for now? And it's going to be different. It's going to be, changing in every moment. So it's been cool to watch your journey, and it has obviously inspired my own, because you and I, we share that deep evangelical Southern Baptist upbringing. Like that, shame is the name of our game from day one.
Yeah. And just the act, like when you talk about like we were physically making ourselves smaller by shrinking our fat and receiving a lot of positive feedback and putting a lot of our worth from the outside in. And it becomes like the insatiable hunger. It's like the more of it you have, the more of it you need. And it also places your control of your value in other people's hands, which is scary. It's scary. And also just tying it back to like the bodybuilding, I was feeling physically, emotionally, mentally, my weakest and my worst. And everyone around me was telling me, you're amazing, you're at your best, or that I was looking like I was at my best when I was my smallest. And now the body I live in takes up so much more space. And it took a long time to be okay with that, even though I felt so much better. And then we talk about women in general, always, maybe not always, but just in general in society, being sort of trained to stay small or let your existence be in support of someone else. Not necessarily always a man. It could be your children. It could be your household. It could be a lot of other things. But just stepping into like your value is your existence. No matter what size or shape that is, no matter what mental capacity you have or don't have for the people in your life, or whether you can, act from a place of empathy or sympathy, or you're acting from a place of vengeance and, gosh, resentment. Like the value doesn't change with your size or your commitment or your, like, you exist, so you have value.
Well, and I just want to speak to like that's your whole platform, Kim. That's a huge piece of what you do for everyone, all the clients that you work with, because it's not just women that need to hear this. We want to recognize that, but we're obviously just speaking from our own experience as women. But like your super authentic vulnerability and through your whole process of coming to love your body and own that as a woman, and I even we can talk about this too. We think about what it means to become a woman, quote unquote. It's like when you start your menstrual cycle, and then how much more, what do we learn about being a woman as we're kind of exiting the menstrual cycle? So it's all again tied to the body, which men don't have that connection, right? Their cycle, their hormone cycle is what, isn't it like a 24-hour cycle versus ours is a 28-day cycle? It's something crazy like that. Like we are such cyclical, beautiful creatures that are constantly changing. And very little in this world is designed to support that, right? It's actually a very masculine world. So that's why we're expected to work 40 hours a week. Guess what? When I'm in my soft cycling, when I'm super connected to my body, I'm not supposed to be working on the days I'm menstruating. I'm supposed to be in the bed. And nothing about the way society is set up supports that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So I think that's another way I would answer that question when I started to feel like a woman is when I started educating myself about my own hormonal cycles. And it's like, oh, I've been trying to fit my cyclical, beautiful, long, drawn out, watery nature into a very masculine world. And no fucking shit. We're exhausted and tired and sick and whatever, fill in the blank, right?
Mm.
So I just wanted to say, you using your own journey and your vulnerability has become the medicine that you now offer specifically the women in your life. And that's why you're such a great coach. And that's why you meet people where they are, because you've been able to do this for yourself.
Yeah, thank you. But you become like the medicine that you need, right? So that's been like an interesting conflict in my head, is that I'm learning all this about myself. And you and I talk about this a lot, how it's never linear, like it's always cyclical. And you feel like you're always coming back and like fighting the same demons or having to like learn the same lessons. So as someone who like has built a community of other people who look to me for that sort of like knowledge or wisdom about feeling comfortable in my own body or owning my own space or feeling unapologetic, I'm still, gosh, sometimes weekly, sometimes daily, sometimes from one second to the next, over apologizing or wanting to shrink my body or thinking I should lose weight. Or, I mean, I think I told you the other day, I'm like, the GLP-1s have like snuck back into my algorithm. Like I'm getting like all the ads about like, and like, again, no shade on that. I mean, maybe I'm not saying I would never even do that, you know, but there's something to that, that like I'm telling other women, you're beautiful just as you are. You don't need to change. You don't need to adjust if you don't feel like you need to. And at the same time, I'm daily or sometimes within my cycle feeling like, oh God, today I'm a bloated, gross mess. I need to lose 10 pounds. And then a few days later, I'm feeling like a goddess and like feeling my stomach and like pulling on my places that I usually hate and just like loving them. Or even just the way that I am very, very fortunate to have a husband that very much lusts off my body. So I go and get my cup filled there. Like, okay, I don't feel good about my body, so I just need to go get him to make me feel good about my body.
Yeah. So I would love to hear, okay, just kind of going off of that, how do you, when we think about like being a woman, feeling like a woman, standing in our sovereignty, being as big, as messy, as wild as we want, how have you, I guess, claimed your own sovereignty? How have you practiced like ignoring the noise, not letting what other people think and say about you impact your own value? I mean, these are things that like women are talking about all the time. And the imposter syndrome and the over apologizing. And it's like, where does that come from? And how do we, I don't know, how do we reclaim that?
So, a real light switch moment for me was when I was listening to one of Michelle Obama's books, and I can't even remember which one it was. I've listened to several, and she was talking about that, like, she attaches it as like just literally like another human that lives inside her that just wants to break away at her and break down every piece of her that might get too big or feel too strong or too self-important or too accomplished. And that she came to the realization that she's never going to get rid of that voice. So she just invited that person in and was like, hi, you're here. You live inside me. We're cohabitating, but I'm in charge. And I decide how loud or how quiet you are. And you're going to be loud at times. And may have to sit in that discomfort and I may have to live with that. But I also have to find tools to know that, like, I'm in the driver's seat. You're here, but you're the passenger. Like, I'm the one that's driving this ship. And that's all like very profound and beautiful, obviously. But the big thing for me was like, well, hot damn, if Michelle Obama can't get rid of that voice, I sure as hell am not getting rid of that voice. Like, because I mean, I'm pretty great, but I'm no Michelle Obama. So like, so it was very comforting to be like, I mean, and I think I've applied that to a lot of things. Like, that voice is there. And for me, predominantly, like in the middle of the night or first thing in the morning, I could wake up and she's just at me. You shouldn't have had 3 glasses of wine last night. You feel like shit today now. You knew you shouldn't have when you poured that 3rd glass. Why are you such a piece of shit? You shouldn't have stayed in bed and watched that TV show when the house is dirty. There's people that depend on you. Like, you're lazy, you're ugly, you're whatever. And even just answering her back and being like, I'm sorry you feel that way. You know, and doing the same thing with like the way we talk to ourselves about our body. For me, it's my stomach. My stomach and my legs are like such a point of contention for me. God, you're so gross. And then I can just like literally talk to that piece of my body and be like, you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like my stomach, I'm like, you've done some things, man. You carried 2 children. You have expanded and shrunk large amounts of weight over small amounts of time when you were pushing your body to the limits as a competitor. My legs, you carry me around all day, every day. And you're a yoga instructor. Every time I'm in down dog and I look at my stupid knees, it's like the worst one to ever see your knees. Gravity is doing you no favors. And every time I look at them and I'm like, thank you, knees.
Yeah.
Thank you, knees, for holding me up all day long. You're doing a good job. You're beautiful.
Right.
I appreciate you.
So
it's a lot of just like assigning all these different like characters that live inside my body and just communicating with them.
Yeah, it reminds me of, I have a friend who she really struggled with loving her legs and specifically like her calves. And so she ended up working with this tattoo artist, a stick and poke tattoo artist who really created like this beautiful ceremony around, okay, why are you getting this area of your body tattooed? And when here's something else about being a woman, and these are large generalizations, right? Of course, we're just talking in general.
Broad strokes.
Right.
Broad strokes.
Right. So we love to adorn ourselves. We love beauty. We love to let our outward appearance be a reflection of who we are inside. And everyone's definition of beauty is different, but like that's our artistry, that's our creativity coming out. And so my friend wanted to bring beauty to the specific area of her body that she really, from her words, hated, like felt absolute disdain for. And we've all got those parts of our bodies, right? That someone told us was wrong or inappropriate or whatever, doesn't look the way it should. And through this, I think it was like a 5 to 6 hour long ceremony, this tattoo artist intuitively came up with this gorgeous kind of geometric tribal design that wrapped around both calves. And through that experience, my friend was really able to, I guess, just heal some of that self-hatred and disgust. And then the tattoos are there as that reminder of like, yeah, I let all this go. That's someone else's voice, right? Like, think about as kids, we don't know that our bellies are sticking out too much. We don't know that we're not supposed to run naked wherever in through the yard. Like we're taught all of that. And it's another story that Clarissa Pinkola Estes tells in her book. She talks about how she was told she was too big, she was too round, she was too heavy, too fat. And then she actually like went to a specific place in Mexico, I can't remember, and worked with her ancestors. And when she started talking to these women that were part of this lineage that she's part of, they were like poking her saying like, you're too skinny. You're too skinny. Why aren't you bigger? Like women need to be round. They need to be the size of the earth. We're holding all of this. And it was just such a beautiful moment for her of like, yeah, how much of our environment determines how much we love and accept our bodies because it's someone else's story and it's bullshit. And we give it back. I'm going to give it back right now.
Right? Well, I'm so happy for her. So kudos to your friend and good for her for finding a way to heal herself. But again, it's about like placing that value externally. Because
Right.
there again, like when you were talking about her being told like you're too small, you need to be bigger. It's like you're going to find wherever you go, whatever community you fall into, people are going to tell you different things. It's all going to be conflicting. So when you look within, when you go within to find the answers, it's like it's empowering. It's a sense of control. Yeah.
And that's that sovereignty we're talking about. But it's hard. It's like I can feel super confident in the privacy of my own home and be like, yeah, I am sexy. Like, fuck yeah, I'd fuck me. And then you go out and it's like, oh, now we're back in this society where there's one size fits all. I'm supposed to, people are judging me. You know, it's like, it's totally like Emperor's New Clothes syndrome. It's like, yeah, I walk out like I'm wearing a freaking ball gown, feeling myself. And everyone else is like, oh God, that bitch is naked. You know?
So I do also think I get that. Like they're looking at me thinking this or that, but a lot of times that's that own internal voice that you're just reflecting outward. Like I really think people aren't thinking about us as much as we think they are. I know I'm not thinking about other people as much, like I look at bodies all day long. That's what I do for a living. Rooms full of bodies. And I am not sitting in judgment of those bodies. If anything, I feel like it's really informed how beautiful bodies are to me, that I get to see all these different people all day long of different shapes and sizes moving in a way that serves them. And it's become almost like spiritual for me. And it's so healing for me. And again, that like mirroring, like, oh, they're judging me. It's like, no, you're judging yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, I'm giving to others when I'm training them. No, you guys are giving to me. Like, I receive so much when I'm in service of other people.
Totally.
And that same sort of like give and take, you can choose. Is it going to affect you in a negative way or in a positive way? And that's something we've talked a lot about too, is when I find myself like looking outward or being judgmental or being resentful, I go within and I'm like, what role am I playing in this? I can't control them. I can control my mindset. I can control my circumstances to a certain degree. And that's about it. So, like, how can I reframe this in a way that gets me closer to the result that I am looking for? Like, what's my end game? What do I want? I want to not feel resentful, or I want to feel more at rest, or I want to feel more at peace. Well, you can just lay that fight down. Like, you don't even have to finish that fight. You don't have to like, there doesn't have to be resolution. You can just like put things down because they're not getting you to your end game or what you're seeking.
Oh my God, girl, you were the first person that ever said that to me. Like, what do you want out of this situation? Like, truly. And that changed a lot for me in my marriage at the time. You know, when we're in conflict with other people, specifically our intimate partners, emotions are high. You're wanting to argue your side of the story. You're judging the other person for some stupid shit they did. And then you were the first person that was like, and you didn't say it to me. You were sharing from your own personal experience. You're like, I keep asking myself, like, what do I want? And if at the end of the day, I want to feel closer to my partner, I want to feel more loved, does it make sense for me to come at them with all this criticism and my anger and my, that's an ego check for sure. And it was super, super helpful. So I'm glad you brought that up because
Well, that's another one of those things that's come about like since my 40s, where I'm like, I could find myself throughout, like, I guess that's part of like my transition into like being a woman, or at least the woman that I want to be, is that I can see things happening that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would have so many opinions about or so many things to say about. And I can like catch myself starting to do that. And I'm like, that's not for me. That's not something I have to have an opinion about. That's for somebody else, and move on.
that's right. So it's interesting when I think about kind of stepping into our own power. It's like I have at the same time both more opinions and fewer opinions.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's more that I'm like clearer on what's important for me to like stand my ground on, and then what is the shit that I can just kind of let go.
Well, what I can let go, these are like, I guess, my little like middle-aged mantras. Like, do I need to have an opinion about that? Yes or no? Check a box, proceed from there. Working backwards, like in places of conflict, whether they be with a friend or an intimate partner, or even just like in a work environment, like playing it all the way out to like, what do I want to get? And then go backwards from there. Like, what steps do I need to take to get me closer to the result that I want at the end of this?
I love that so much. And that's like, I don't know, sometimes I can feel like I'm manipulating a situation, and I think the power of manipulation can be used in a negative way. Obviously, I've definitely used it that way, but there's also like a secret magic in being able to use and manipulate in a situation that works out for the good of what you're aiming for, you know? So I don't know, maybe manipulation isn't the right word, but I think I've definitely seen it.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No,
Maybe
you're good.
manipulation. I mean, I remember, I haven't said it as much lately, but I remember stepping into like, be selfish. Like, selfish has a negative connotation.
Oh my God. Can we please just reclaim the word selfish right now?
Yeah, we have. everybody else should too. I've done it.
We're doing it for the masses, okay? Like, selfish is a beautiful place to be. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And all that guilt and shame that we took on over the years of people telling us we're selfish or don't be selfish now, you know.
Don't be selfish. Right. But this is mine. This is mine. I don't have to share it if I don't want to.
Right. Like, and I'm not a mom, so I know that the like, moms give everything to their kids and it's such a beautiful relationship dynamic. And so I know that's been a whole journey for you too, is like, which I think most moms go through, right? It's like, okay, you're giving everything to your kids. You maybe feel like you've lost yourself. And then there's that whole process of reclaiming yourself. But as a childless woman, um, for me, I have been stepping into my own, like I said, my wild self. And guess what? My wild intuition is guiding my path now. And that has led me to make choices that to a lot of people seem fucked up and selfish. And it's been a whole journey to just be okay with that. And guess what? Other people's response to my choices is just not my business. That is so hard for me to let go of because I want them to understand, right? Like I want everyone to understand why. And as I've gotten older, it's just been like, bitch, no one has to understand, but you.
You do.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to just speak to that more as like as a mother, selfish. How does selfish ring for you now?
So the way I would present it to a lot of my clients and what I really tried to step into, even when my kids were a lot younger, which they're still young, but it was like an act of selfishness now is a giving act later. So like, I mean, this is cliche, but like you can't pour from an empty cup.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to put yourself at the center of your wellness and you have to be okay. Not always, but in general.
Right.
Before you can show up for others in the way that you want to be able to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's where I reclaimed selfish. Is it was like it's negative selfish of me to not take care of myself.
Ooh, yeah.
Because when I am positive selfish, everybody in my orbit benefits from it.
Yes.
And the more everybody in my orbit can get on board with that, the way we can all give and take and yin and yang and share and hold and you're strong, I'm weak, now I'm strong, you're weak, now we're both strong, isn't that powerful and beautiful, now we're both weak, let's sit in this together. Like, and that's been a really interesting journey of me and your friendship too, because of course the ass smack was the initial bond, but then we both went through a pretty traumatic breakup at the same time. And that really just like, I mean, that was like kindred spirit. Like me and this woman are going to carry each other through life.
And we have.
And then now as like I did just go through a shift with my work and stepping into more responsibilities. So I'm definitely in a transition right now, but you have made a move and have a lot of transition. And now it's like, I'm getting to just carry you.
Oh, yes. Oh my God. I mean, I feel like that's a whole different episode, but I have felt so held by you. And that's the beauty of what women understand is that when we come at life collectively as a group, as a tribe, as a chosen family, it's easier. I mean, how much of this like bullshit feminism, sorry, I'm going to get on my soapbox here, is like, you have to do everything. And guess what? You've got to do it all by yourself. It's like, what? Why would anyone sign up for that? No, we instinctively, through our beautiful friendship, it's like when we can lean into each other, I can do anything. You've literally made possible this entire transition that I'm currently going through right now. It's a massive gift. And I'll be honest, it's been challenging to like just be in a receiving position. And I think for a lot of women who are so used to just like giving, we're holding space for all these people, we're sharing our gifts, we're teaching, we're guiding. then to be in a really vulnerable position of like, oh shit, I just need to like receive, that felt selfish. I heard voices in my head saying like, oh, this is really imbalanced, Claire, you've got to be giving as much as you're receiving. And it's like that equality of like, oh, it needs to be 50-50 in any relationship doesn't mean 50-50 all the time. Right? I understand the need for balance, obviously, when we understand the way energy works, but sometimes it's going to be lopsided. And that's just because, again, that's life.
Okay, but just so we're clear, you have also showed up here and fed my family every Monday night since you've been here.
I love it.
Lightening my load. You have run my children all over the city, picking them up, dropping them off at a moment's notice.
Also,
so there has definitely been, I've been on the receiving end as well.
Oh.
So,
wow.
Well, I wonder if now would be a good time for us to just sort of think of a good way to wrap up and bring everything that I like these sort of like jaunting, non-linear, curvy style that we kind of did here because I feel like there's a lot of different answers to when I felt like a woman. Or when I feel like a woman, or when I step out of that and step back into that. But this has been a really powerful conversation. And
how have you felt like a woman today?
Well, I always feel I vibe really high in my like strength and power and control when I exercise. And I did work out today.
Woo!
I did lift some weights, walked 1.5 miles on a treadmill.
Hell yeah.
And that felt good. And that's one of those selfish acts. Like, I don't apologize for exercising. I don't ask for anybody's permission. It's a non-negotiable. It's going to happen. And it doesn't even occur to me to think, oh, well, I have to get home to my kids, or it's not right for me to do this while my children are trying to figure out their own breakfast. I'm like, they can eat or they cannot. They won't starve, but I will starve if I don't nourish my body with this movement.
Yes.
So that was when I was really in my woman flow today. What about you?
Oh gosh. Well, I had a very challenging conversation with a friend earlier this morning that started off with us just coming for each other. Honestly, I think you want to talk about cycling? I'm like luteal AF. Everyone's pissing me off.
This is so interesting to me because I don't understand this stuff the way that you do. So we like need a whole other episode. I'm like, I'll call you and be like, this is what's happening with me today. What part of my cycle am I in?
Yeah, it's so empowering, this information. I highly recommend, I'm a book person, so I highly recommend Wild Power by Alexandra Pope. Discover the magic of your menstrual cycle, awaken your feminine path to power. Like, it truly is. The fact that they don't teach this shit in school is mind-blowing, but that, again, a whole other episode. So anyway, my friend and I are butting heads hard. We're throwing out barbs. And once we kind of hashed it all out in our anger, there was just a shift. And I can't really identify that shift. Honestly, I think it was her kind of taking ownership for some of her stuff that led to me softening. And I want to go back to, like, she didn't apologize, by the way. It was more of I'm going to own my shit. And then that allowed me to soften and own my shit. And then there was this like big buildup of energy. Obviously, I felt like I was like pacing. I needed to move some energy. And then tears just started coming up. And I was like, hey, I need to like cry this out right now. And she was like, do it. And I wailed, like for like a minute. And then I like took a deep breath and I was like, okay, all right. I feel much better. We're good. And then we were like up each other's asses, like, oh my God, I love you so much. You're amazing. like, like that felt so beautiful in its feminine chaos. And then we came back around to the resolution, just reminding each other that we love each other. We're on the same team. We're working towards the same goal. That just felt like supportive sisterhood and really a gift because I have a lot of beautiful friendships. I don't know that I could hash it out like that and then immediately pivot and come back to resolution with a lot of folks. So yeah, that was my
You have way more hard conversations with your people though than I do. Like I think I just surround myself with people that like can keep it easier. I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of value in that too. I mean, you need friends. We can't be deep diving all the time, right?
I feel like you're deep diving a lot more than I'm deep diving, and I respect the hell out of it. Well, I would love to hear more ways that people feel like a woman. I'd love to hear ways that anybody who might ever listen to this felt like a woman today or tomorrow or the next day or when they stepped into their womanhood. I'm really excited for this journey and to share more and bring more conversations out of the shadows. I think that we're living in an era of women stepping into, yes, their power, but also just wild exploration of like what the next chapter of this world can look like when we are all vibing and supporting each other. And I know a lot of women, I am not the only woman that has a beautiful community of wild women around them where they're having these very powerful and emotional and sometimes filled with tears, sometimes just belly laughter until you can't breathe. And I'm hoping that we can bring more of those conversations out of the shadows and out into the wild. So thank you for being the first with me, Claire. I appreciate you so much. I love you to the ends of the universe. I treasure you, and I'm sure you'll be on here soon again.
Thank you, Kimmy. I love you too.
Kim here again with just some takeaways and final thoughts after speaking with Claire and re-listening to our chat. There were several things that just stuck out to me. I think when we spoke specifically about feeling like a woman, one thing was what we're told versus what actually is. And I feel like that came up multiple times when we were looking outward for the definition of what we are, who we are as women, or even individually as a woman. It was found within us. And when we were looking for those answers externally, it was always just about coming back to the self. And one of those messages that I spoke to, just your value being in your existence, that all you have to do is purely exist to have value. Another thing that came up is what others think of our decisions is none of our business, which is something I say quite frequently to people, but it really is. I mean, of course, we have people we trust or whose opinions we value, and those trusted, heart-centered, kindred spirit people, yes, we care what they think about us. But largely, in general, it's just none of our business what people think about how we move through the world or the decisions we make. Claire talked about feminine power as a collective and carrying and supporting each other. And that's at the heart of this podcast. It's at the heart of how I want to move through the world. There is enough success. There is enough beauty. There is enough room in this world for all of us to move through it as our biggest, most fully actualized selves. And the more we can lift each other up and support each other as women in that direction, the better off the whole world will be. We also talked about manipulation and talked and in relationship to selfishness as well, that like there's like a fine line between when being selfish becomes a positive or a negative word, and that maybe we could reclaim the word manipulate as well. So I just looked it up, and at its most basic definition, to manipulate is to handle or control. So maybe that's the line between the positive and the negative when you're operating from a place of handling or dealing with something and not trying to control it. And when it crosses over into the control, maybe that's when it becomes the negative form of manipulation. I don't know. We can keep workshopping that, but that was just my initial thoughts. And I also, it made me think about a poem that I wrote. Gosh, when was this? December of 2022, it looks like. So I just thought I would share that here as well, because this bumping up against and opposites cohabitating or coexisting is a theme that like circles through my life constantly. And this is just proof of it. Oh, this is October 22nd of 2022. I wrote this on my Instagram. And we'll let the dog bark for a second. Maybe I'll just let him in. I'm struck by how paper thin the line is between opposites, joy and grief, kindness and cruelty, contentment and depression, love and hate, gain and loss, pleasure and pain, consonance and dissonance. At some point in their opposition, they bump up right against each other. They hold each other up. They need each other, depend on each other, rely on each other. So yeah, just another little something to think about. We did also talk about men's hormone cycles. And I found here the main difference between male and female hormone cycles is in the duration and intensity. Female hormone cycles, primarily the menstrual cycle, are monthly and involve fluctuations in estrogen and progesterone. Male hormone cycles, largely driven by testosterone, are daily and levels typically peaking in the morning and declining throughout the day. So yes, Claire was right. Men have a 24-hour hormone cycle. We have a 28-day hormone cycle. And then I just wanted to re-mention all of the books that we referenced in the episode. Women Who Run with Wolves, Clarissa Pinkola Estes. I have not found a good audio version of that. So Clarissa, if you're hearing this, please get me a good audiobook. I'm not a good read from a book reader. And then the next, I couldn't remember the name of it, but it's The Light We Carry, and that's Michelle Obama. And then Wild Power, Discover the Magic of Your Menstrual Cycle and Awake the Feminine Path to Power. That's written by Alexander Pope, Shony Wurlitzer. So of course, we'll link those in the show notes. And that's all I really have for you today. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thanks for listening.